happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades. And I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that you know definitely by now that I'm just crazy about. You know the drill. Hop on in, say hello, let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you the big shout out that you so richly deserve. I appreciate everyone tuning in and hanging out with us for a little while. We're going to have a fun time today. Been looking so forward to this episode for a while, and my next guest and friend for a while. So I'm so glad now is the time to have her on. Make sure that you are getting connected with us over in the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. We're having a lot of fun, having some great engagement, you know, sharing industry news and just all around fun for sure. So make sure that you hop on over and get connected with us over there. The Sima. I appreciate you tuning in for sure and checking out the show. Hope well, I'm not even going to say I hope. I know you're going to enjoy this episode for sure. As always, like I said, we are here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time, live to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. But I definitely encourage you to reach out, connect with me on all my social channels right here. You can find me. I definitely want to hear from you. Let me know how the show is going, what you think. If you want to see any guests, I may try and get on, but I definitely want to hear from you and get connected with you. I highly always encourage everybody, though, to hop on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment, give a thumbs up. There you can check out all the great episodes that we've had so far. We've had a lot of great guests and friends on for sure, so you can check out all the episodes and all the other great content that I'm planning and putting up there for sure. So definitely want you to be a part of it. If you'd like to support the show, like I said, we're always looking for people to help out the show. It helps me continue to level up the show, make great content, better content. And hey, I always say I love a great cup of coffee. Who doesn't love a great cup of coffee? I do. So buymeacoffee.com/Don Terrell. You can donate, join the membership there. I put up private content for the members there. You can do it for $5 a month or $50 for the year. But it definitely helps me to continue to level up the show. And like I said, make it the best possible show that I can make it for sure. Again, I definitely want to give a shout out to, before we get going, to this week's sponsor for the show, Restream. I love Restream. They are a multi-live streaming content platform there that will let you stream out to all your platforms simultaneously. Like I said, I use them. It's a great platform, and I definitely so appreciate Restream for getting behind the show and, helping me keep it out there for sure. So make sure you check out Restream, and you will definitely not be disappointed with them. They're a great platform, great software for sure. Like I said, I've been so looking forward to this episode here. I am not on Facebook, which reminds me. I appreciate your comment. I know Monique does as well. So I can't see your name, but I do always encourage everybody as well to give eCam permission to pull your information. You could go to ecam.com/connect. I'll be able to pull your information and, like I said, see your bright, shiny face and name. And, like I said, give you a great shout out, personal shout out, which I always love doing for sure. So hop on over ecam.com slash connect and give eCam permission to pull your information. So, like I said, I've been looking forward to this episode for a while. I've had on a number of her friends on the show for sure, and definitely plan. Like I said, we're going to dive into this, into the show, but definitely plan on having them all back on at the same time. But today, it's her episode, so we are getting ready to dive into this. Again, like I said, this is interactive. I definitely want you to jump in the comments, show her some love, get engaged with the show because, like I said, I want it to be an engaging show for sure. I think I got all the housekeeping stuff out the way. So with that, I think we can dive into this episode. My next guest has always found inspiration for her stories in her community. As obsessed as she was with cartoons, a class trip to the Museum of Moving Images in Queens planted the seed that she could make her own cartoons and animation when she grows up. After graduating from the School of Visual Arts, she struggled to find the right animation employment opportunities and developed an interest in working in production management instead of working as an animator or artist in the studio. She learned that there was a substantial disconnect between production management and artists within studios and wanted to be the liaison between the two. This has led her to work at Blue Sky Studios for 2.5 years as a production assistant in the story department. There, she had the opportunity to work closely with story artists, directors, producers, writers, as well as various departments in the production pipeline for Ice Age, Collision Course, Ferdinand, Spies in Disguise, which I loved, and Nimona. Since departing from Blue Sky, she has gone on to create the traveling animation panel series, Diverse Toons, which we're going to talk about in an effort to highlight the need for diversity within the animation industry. Through this endeavor, she provides peers in the community the opportunity to share their journey and helps promote visibility of Black people and people of color that have worked on a variety of films, shows, and projects. At the moment, she is employed full-time as working on a few personal projects, such as her animation website, simplyrobotix.com, her podcast, Simply Robotix, the podcast, and her short film, which is currently untitled. Please, everybody, help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Miss Monique Henry-Hudson.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Oh man, thank you. I'm so happy you had that on deck.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I make sure that we bring our stars out like they are for sure. I'm telling you, I want to make sure I jump on over to that's Miss Jade. Yes, Queen all Queens all day. Jade is a diehard Queens person. I love that.
Yeah,
Queens
because they
all day.
always rep Brooklyn and like Harlem, and we just have to sometimes remind people we are also a very of quality borough, if you will.
Also, for sure, for sure. And it's Simply
That was
Robotics.
me. I
Yes.
commented.
Monique says, hey, to everybody joining. Like I said, we're going to have some fun. Again, everybody, please make sure you jump in the comments because I want this as engaging as possible. We got a few people watching, so I definitely want to make this a fun episode for sure. So we're getting ready to dive into this. Like I said, I definitely been looking forward to this, Monique, ever since we connected. And I think it was Jade that gave me your name when I had her on, and she gave me a list of names, and she said definitely you need to have Monique on. So I appreciate you so much for
Of
coming on the
course.
show, being a part of the community. And hey, Mister, I think this is
Straight.
Dre. Yeah, this got to be Dre. I tell you. And we're going to talk about this, Dre. We were talking, me and Monique were talking about this before, but I'm going to have a group show with you guys, you, Monique, Jade, Deborah. I'm going to have y'all all on, and we're going to have a good
Aaron,
time.
yeah.
Yes, we are going to have a great time. And I think I was telling, uh, it might have been Deborah or Jade. Now I'm thinking about doing like a color of motion after dark,
Yes.
where it's like, okay, you get your drink, we can, all just sit here and drink and just have a really in-depth and real conversation for sure. So, but definitely plan on having all of you guys on at the same time because I love you guys. You guys are some great friends, and real big supporters of the show, and definitely know with all of you, you have so much wisdom to share. So we are going to, yes, Mr. Dre is always about to be lit, about to be lit. All right, Miss Jade is ready to go. So I'm gonna kick it off. What was it in the museum in Queens that kind of really sparked that thought in you and that interest in animation for you?
Yeah, so that was like a eighth grade art class trip. Like I was in art class in eighth grade, and at the museum they had like a station that was a stop motion animation station.
Mm-hmm.
So my peers should be familiar with Madeline. I don't know if young kids how much exposure they have, but Madeline was a big deal. They had a series, the books, obviously. So it was like one of those like assemble puzzle pieces that had like
Mm-hmm.
the knobs on top of it. So I made like a stop motion, and they recorded it. It had like an overhead camera or like I don't know a tablet or something, and then I got to watch it, and I was like, "This is it! Like this is it." I came home from school. I had always been like I think like most kids done like arts a little bit like experimental,
Yeah.
and I was very much into technology. Like I was the kid that was taking apart the VCR if anyone knows what that is,
Yeah.
and assembling it
Yeah.
again, right?
What's a
um
VCR?
I would do that with some of the electronics in the house. So that stop motion station, I felt like was using everything. Like I was doing a little arts and crafty stuff and the technology, and then at that point like Toy Story already came out and there was some other stuff, and I was like starting to watch like the DVD extras, and I was like, I think like this makes sense. It's computers and it's art, and like I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just thankful. I say all the time that I just had parents, especially having like a Caribbean, you know, uh, Latino, whatever mother, immigrant mother that was like, okay, I'm gonna let you like explore that. So she
Awesome.
encouraged it.
Awesome. Awesome. And like I said, you kind of answered my question. My next question in how did your parents kind of foster that passion and joy for? Did you find that like when you were in eighth grade going in our class and going to the museum that was it was really big like with girls, or was it more guys? How did you kind of see, your friends as far as you being interested in animation and cartoons and stuff?
Okay, layers to this. So I'm going to talk just about parents first. So I again was very grateful to have parents that supported me. So just as a child, like I was into skateboarding, like I got a skateboard and got to play around with that. Like I was into rollerblading, so I got to explore that. When I was into sports, they let me be a part of the basketball team and the softball team and whatever. There was a point where I wanted to be like a pediatrician, so that was in seventh grade. Yeah, in seventh grade, I was in like a nursing class in junior high. And as a child, my dad got me like doctor toys. So I had like a stethoscope and, like a doctor's
Yeah,
briefcase. So, like, whatever I verbalized kind of having an interest in, they
yeah,
let me explore it to see, like, okay, well, this is actually good enough for me. I don't need, I want to move on to something else or to move forward.
yeah.
So, when I latched on to, like, I even did music too. Like, I
Mm.
was taking the piano, the clarinet, um, I thought about the violin, didn't go into that. I'm pretty sure my mom was happy. She's like, "That's enough instruments."
Yeah.
Um, but when I latched on to art, my mom put me in extracurriculars. So I was in all throughout high school, from junior high and high school, like summer art classes, Saturday after school art classes. So I was in stuff almost like all year
Yeah.
round. I even did dance too. Now I remember, I did like everything. So when it came to like actually moving forward with art, I can say that in those classes, in terms of gender, maybe it was like 60-40, and
Hmm.
it fluctuated if it was more girls or more boys. What I can speak on is that there was very little black and
Hmm.
or like or Spanish kids.
Yeah.
I would often see Asian kids and white kids in a lot of the programs that were I was in. And I attribute that enough to like the public schools in these neighborhoods where it's predominantly black, Spanish, or other children of color, just not being given the information, because all
Hmm.
the art programs I went to were free. So
Yeah.
again, I'm from New York City, where museums and there's different cultural centers offer these free programs, and the schools, the teachers don't know, so they can't funnel that information to the students. And in my case, I know I spoke about this a couple of times in other places, but for anyone who's new here and new to me, in high school, my art teacher, well, first I should say, my mom told me, go ask your art teacher what programs like New York City has to offer. And I went up to her and she opened a drawer full of like papers of different free programs that the city offers.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is this like just in your drawer? Like, how come you haven't told us about this? Like, come on now. And she was just like, okay, well, if you want to tell your classmates about it, like you can. So I got all the papers, I made copies, and I shared
Wow.
them with my friends and my classmates. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were more teachers like her, art teachers, that like saw us and didn't think we were like worth that investment of just sharing
Wow.
that information to. So
Wow.
I could only imagine how many years she's withheld this information from her students.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so surprising. And I always say it really is such an important thing when you got somebody that you know really gets you, sees your talent, and really encourages you. And I tell people this all the time. I was really fortunate. Like I said, my mother, I didn't get into as much stuff as you did with all the different things, but I had a when I always knew I was going to be in art and in some kind of creative art place or position. But as you go through high school and your counselor starts helping you try and figure out. I had a great counselor that saw my talent, and she every time I went in there, she always had a list of art schools, scholarships, and things that I need to be applying for. And really encouraged it. And so it really is sad to see a teacher like that that's not willing to share and really help, especially the ones like us that they're always trying to steer us in one kind of direction, like a vocational or something like that. It's just a sad thing to see. Do you see that now as kind of changing, or Do you feel like they're taking a lot, and I feel like they're taking a lot of programs that schools used to have and cutting those kind of creative programs that used to be really
Absolutely.
relevant.
I I completely agree that they're cutting a lot of stuff. I have no idea about the barriers of sharing resources anymore. I know some of my friends and peers are educators. They might be able to speak a bit more to that.
Yeah,
But I just know from just trying to do some of the work with diverse tunes that it is hard to build and foster relationships with the education system. I almost think that's unfortunately universal.
yeah.
If you are an org or a nonprofit or something like that, that's just trying to come in and help support the youth, there's a lot of hurdles.
Mm,
So unless you try to partner with someone else that already has that relationship and connection, or you have again someone that's a teacher or in the school system some way that could bring you in for a career day, um that's out of my scope.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
too sure.
The Sim, no piano, no, no piano. Which, like I said, that's a great thing when a parent just, like I said, they let you explore and are willing to just, okay, whatever she's interested in at the time, something will stick with her. But we just, encourage her to do whatever it is that she's interested in, and she'll find out from there. I think that's always got to be the best way for a parent to really help a child. Simpsons, that's how programs die out. Yeah, like I said, I think it's kind of a government thing as well. They're cut, and especially in, like I said, kind of urban schools. They don't have the access. And then is that another thing you're seeing as well, that um, urban schools don't have access to, like you said, the information, even the equipment, the computers and things like that, that really do expose them to, okay, this is out there that we can do.
Yeah, that's been just some of our hurdles with diverse tunes is really trying to bridge the gap. Like we've had connections with studios in New York that wanted to give equipment or loan equipment, I should say, to like high school students. And those initiatives, it was just they did not get to come to fruition as we were hoping for it.
Yeah,
So it's just so hard and challenging. And it is definitely the access to resources. That's why your program is great. What we're doing as diverse tunes, a lot of our peers, their initiatives, what I'm doing with my podcast is all just showing that like we are here and there's professions in these fields, and like you don't for me, I'm like, you don't solely have to be an animator or a storyboard artist or even like a viz dev artist, which I
yeah,
can break down later. There's so many other positions and career opportunities in
yeah,
this industry, and we are here. We are few in some aspects, but we're here and just trying to open the doors and just share awareness and knowledge so that these kids and younger people too, not even kids, some people could be like in high school and not really sure what they want to do but don't want to change, I should say in college, excuse me, and don't want to change majors or something like that. But, maybe seeing someone that does sound design,
yeah,
someone that does voice acting, or someone that, is you have that brain for computer science, but you don't want to go that route. You can do like IT support
yeah.
in a visual effects studio, but they don't even know that that's a possibility.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
we just
that's
try to
why
bring
I
awareness.
love, like I said, diverse tunes. And what you do is, like I said, you go around and really expose uh, kids and younger people that they're, like I said, just so many different roads that you can go down in this industry, and that it is available to us as well. This is really large. I'm going to scale this down just a tad. Uh, Facts. The same way year one, we reached out to our great alma mater, Bayside High School, which I loved and thought would welcome us back with open arms to talk about diverse tunes, but crickets. There's no. Yeah, Jade and I talked about this in good depth. In depth, that like I said, it's surprising that your the school that you came from would not get behind what you're doing, helping to promote and bring education into the younger kids there.
Yeah, and just to be like, I came from like the same school, kind of the same areas. I have this similar background, and like, look where I'm have been and where I'm going, you
Yeah,
know? So it's not impossible.
yeah, yeah. I
It
would
might be
hope.
hard.
Yeah, I would hope my high school would do that too, but I don't know. My high school might do the same thing and give me crickets. Like, okay, I don't know. What was it about? Was there any particular reason that you chose the School of Visual Arts that you went to? Was it because of location? Was it the program? What was it
Because
that?
mom said you cannot leave New York. That's what mom said. She said, well, it started narrowing down. At first, she was like, you have to stay on the East Coast. And there was Full Sail in Florida
Mm,
that was starting to do something similar, but they weren't established with their 3D program as SVA. I know there were some schools, is it SCAD
yeah,
and
SCAD.
right in Georgia.
Yeah,
But I didn't have family or like any support system there. And then with time, my mom was like, "Yeah, you just have to stay in New York. So figure out where in New York you can make it happen." And it was between Pratt and SVA, and still SVA had the better reel and the
yeah,
better like alumni network and all sorts of stuff like that. So,
yeah, yeah,
and I am grateful because SVA supports me 1000%. You know, I've been out of college a while now, and
yeah.
they know they can lean on me for whatever, and I feel like I can lean on them for whatever too.
Yeah, yeah. Full Sail's got a great. They're expensive as heck though, from what I
SVA is expensive, but
hear. Which brings me to the point now, because of this time that we live in,
mhm.
and there's so much open source free software out there. The technology and the training on the internet. Do you feel like you know you necessarily have to go to, say, SCAD or School of Visual Art if you're really passionate about it, as opposed to going to YouTube University or really training yourself in what you do?
Yeah, I say it kind of like depends. It's very expensive, right? I have the loans to prove it, and I'll leave that there because
Yeah,
this is recorded. But in terms of like online versus in person or more brick and mortar schools, Um, I think it maybe really depends on your needs.
mm,
I would almost want to encourage maybe doing at least 1 year at a brick and mortar just because still of the networking and connection opportunities that you can leverage from that. Financially, I think do what's smart and best for you and your belief system. I don't think you should go to SBA or anything like that to end up in production management like I am, right?
yeah,
However, I can say that because of my degree and my specialty, that makes me a better asset as a production management person. And also, just with the side and creative endeavors and things that I do, like I still end up using like green screen and keying that out
yeah,
and motion graphic stuff just on the side for myself. And I think if you do choose to do like online schooling or courses, try to still get things that give you some sort of certificate because that looks good on like LinkedIn or whatever. But also you want to go with places that have already some sort of recognition, if you will, or like history to them. I won't name drop any of these programs, but you want people to be like, oh, this person did this 3D animation for games. I already know that good quality people come out of there. Of course, I'm going to look at their work, but I don't need to think twice about it versus some sort of really cheap thing that you got for like $75 where they're like, I don't know. I might just go with this person that went to this school that I already know.
yeah,
So I think when you're, yeah, again, doing online stuff versus also in person things, you kind of got to think about that as well. The reputation, that's the word I'm looking
yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's an interesting take for sure. Um, Sleepy Gallows. It's great having more and more podcasts and YouTube channels talking about the different animation positions with a focus on Black people. It helps everyone a lot, including white people. Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's.
Hey, Sleepy Hollow.
But that was like I said, the kind of not shocking when I started, the color of motion, but it really did, uh, impress me that there are so many talented people of color out there. And like I said, not just animators, but people behind the scenes, production people. It really showed me the wide breadth of, like I said, what we do and the positions that are out there as well. Um, so for you, what's been kind of the biggest surprise that's kind of come to you doing diverse tunes, you and Jade, and going around to these different places? What's been kind of the biggest kind of shock for you?
Well, I don't know if this is the biggest, but the initial shock was just constantly being asked by like uh non-black recruiters, if you will, just like how do I find diverse talent? And it was just like,
Yeah,
what are you like, do you really try? I feel like I'm not saying that we need bars to be lowered or anything like that for us,
yeah,
but if you constantly go to like the same conferences, the same film festivals where like we cannot always afford to go to or attend, you go seeking talent at the same art schools. Even though I love my art school,
yeah,
that's where you're constantly going. You're not going to HBCUs or anything like that. You're not going to local festivals that we can afford to attend, throughout New York City or any other cities, if Atlanta has their own smaller Comic Cons and stuff like that. But then you're saying we can't find people. You're not really even looking.
trying.
So that was the amount of times we were being asked that question was just like, wow. And then even, I refer to this also often in 2020, what with George Floyd's murder and what that trickled into for the animation industry is recruiters kind of still doing the same thing.
Yeah,
But what's come out of that is like we are finally starting to see them go to HBCUs and try to create and foster relationships. So like that's been good.
yeah,
We're seeing a bit more partnerships with studios and organizations like ours in terms of amplifying our platforms and support.
yeah.
But it's just been quite interesting that like I don't know how hard they were really trying or if they were just keeping it really cute, like, oh, well, we looked here once and
Yeah.
didn't find anything. So we can't find
Yeah, we
people,
can't find
and this
people.
is
Well,
um
what was your initial like? When George Floyd's murder kicked off and the protests, started happening around the country, and all of a sudden you started seeing all these companies post on their social media platform, black squares, we're behind Black Lives Matter, and that type of stuff. What was your kind of initial thought in response as it pertained to, what the studios were doing and just how sincere they, really were and really trying to make a change.
for a while it definitely felt like one preaching to the choir, like we you don't need to be talking to us, like you need to be talking to your peers in your community and stuff like that. Um it caused a lot of young artists and even like coming up to like early artists or even in production management to scramble because it like put us in a position where like we had to now like perform and kind of cater to this. Now everyone wants talent in a way that wasn't like that before, so people were scrambling for portfolios, resumes, reels, all that sort of stuff. And even put I, it put us in a bit of a stressor because we were being pulled in so many directions and we were trying to show up for everything and for everyone, in highlighting our community and talent, and things like that. And I know that animation and similar adjacent industries take a while in terms of actually seeing results. Like it takes years for one feature to come out. A
Yeah,
series still is going to take a bit. So I am aware that a lot of the stuff that they were talking about 2 almost 3 years ago, whatever, is in motion, and it's going to take some while for it to hit the screens. So that's been good. But what I'm still a bit curious about is more of the upper level
Yeah,
inclusion,
yeah. I
right?
always
Like
talk
it's
about that. Yeah,
right. It's cute to see, the artists and the production staff be nice and like a melted pot. But the higher you get up in the studio
yeah.
positions, you're like,
Yeah,
okay.
still kind of the same there, and that's and I was telling Jade this. We were talking about this as well. That was something I really wanted to kind of work on as well, getting more executives, higher level executives on the show to really talk about and dive into like, okay, really, you know, are you? I mean, I know you're probably working really hard, but how is it trying to maneuver
I
and
don't know if
still?
we can get them on record,
Yeah.
but there needs to be definitely some private roundtables because, just seeing the way the last 6 months have gone with executives scrapping a lot of diverse content. And I'm not even solely talking about animation, it's
Yeah.
like live action, cartoons, with children's, just like non-scripted. It's been like an overhaul of diversity, and that kind of seems like they're double downing on all those black squares from 2020.
Yeah.
So I would love to be a part of an exec conversation, and again, I'm down with it not being on record,
I'm
but
trying to, and that's what I had said too. Even if, and I get, trust me, it's hard to. It's definitely going to be like a long, like winning the lottery to get a higher level exec to come on to really have a heart to heart talk about you know diversity, people of color, and really making a change and have them be honest about it.
yes.
But I always said, even if they didn't do that on, say, a podcast or that, it's definitely something they should be having even within the company, having a
Absolutely.
round table with the artists and creators, really talking about, okay, what's going on, the things that we're doing within this company, and how can we make a difference, truly within this company. Do you feel now with like I said, uh, the software that we have and just the training that we have, that it's better for creatives because they don't necessarily have to wait um, to go to Disney or Pixar or whatever studio it is. They can put their content, their story, their whatever it is they're creating out there and build a following with the times that we live in now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I've been talking with my peers a bunch just about like, where the future of animation and content creation seems to be going. We're seeing a lot of like form media
Yeah,
with platforms such as like TikTok. I know Instagram and Reels and like YouTube and all sorts of stuff like that. A lot is so much more accessible than it has been. We have open source programs, right? Like Blender.
yeah,
Procreate is just a couple dollars and you can animate on an iPad. And then there's just free stuff as well. And it's really kind of in the hands of the creator in
yeah,
putting stuff directly out there to people who could be interested, and not having to deal with the middleman being, or person
yeah,
being, a studio. So, we've been talking a bit about that, which is great. Where I haven't really explored the hiccup, what I believe is to be like, when going from content creator to consumer, there's not really that. What you would get is like a producer type of support and helping to, I would say like elevate the director's vision.
mm,
And I see and have spoken to some creators, and they just can't really understand the disconnect between what they're making and the audience.
yeah,
And I think that's the piece that's missing, and that's where I'm trying to help, like in terms of like in my like side, lack of a better word, hustle,
yeah,
is like being that person that could be like almost like a freelance, if it's consultor, or producer or something to help independent creators that are want to put their stuff on TikTok or
Yeah.
YouTube, but making sure we're nurturing it and again elevating it so that you're going to start getting some of the responses that you want out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's take a second here, Mr. Guerin. B, appreciate you showing up there all the way from Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Yes, Canada, he's a Canada brother. Great live streamer. Appreciate you, bro. Tuning in for sure. I'm not sure if it's a Mr. or Mrs., so I'm just gonna say the Simma. Yes, it opens up a lot of eyes to other job titles within the industry. Yeah, like I said, that's what I enjoy so much. Like I said, just not just having the animator or character designer on. Like I said, I love having production people, producers, writers, showrunners. There's just so many different things that you are able to do. Miss Natasha says, "Hey Mo, I appreciate you, Natasha, tuning in for sure. Sim loves your background. Appreciate that. Yeah, it is cool. I love it. Sleepy Gallows, just you know, Sleepy Gallows. So I appreciate that. Sim, they are trying to introduce animation programs into the schools in my district. Do you feel like, because I was, this was another thing that Jade and I kind of talked about, and a little bit of Deborah as well, that there needs to be, because I don't know, I guess I should jump online to see how many HBCUs have animation programs that are really, dedicated to you. Do you feel like that's another thing too? We really need to get more so that, because I know a lot, I would have loved to have gone to a HBCU to learn, just animation and comics and cartoons, but, just I didn't think there were any HBCUs that offered it. Do you think that there needs to be that's something that one is changing, and that there needs to be more HBCUs that are starting to create programs like that?
Well, I know that there are, they call it like a media arts programs, and some do have or developing animation programs. I My perception is that they can only do but so much. I would put the responsibility on us that are in the industry, and if we do have remote jobs, to move to those areas
Mm-hmm.
because they don't get talent that's currently working in the industry. That was a big selling point for me going to SVA, is that my professors were all working in the industry at the same time. I
Yeah,
don't know how they did it because
yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
tired. Um, but
Well, you
that
see
was
that a lot
huge.
now with online schools,
Yes,
like Animation Mentor, Nomen, and stuff like that.
exactly. But when it comes to the HBCUs, their professors are usually people that have been removed from the industry for a while, you
Yeah,
know? So I think that's where they are lacking in a bit, is that when we have opportunities, and this is not shading anybody that's doing it, but have opportunities to do like a semester of teaching or stuff like that, if there's an opportunity for us to do online for an HBCU, that's where we should be jumping for, even if unfortunately maybe the pay might be a little bit less than going somewhere else like a SVA or a
yeah,
private full sale. We don't really give back to the HBCUs yet in the capacity that we've given back to other schools. And that's not really on anybody. Maybe it's on us to really reach out and try and make ourselves available and be like, hey, if there's an opportunity, I would love to, to be a part of this type of thing. But I think that's where the media arts slash animation programs in HBCU seem to be not there yet.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah, and not even like I said, just HBCUs going into the public schools and really, especially the urban public schools, and really speaking. I would love more professionals, that are in their street to do that, to go back and speak, and like I said, just expose the kids that this is an avenue that they can go down, and that it is, something that's available,
Right.
for
Mhm.
sure. Um, you know, for you, um, what would be the biggest impact, that you would hope would come from diverse tunes and what you're doing?
Ooh, biggest impact, man. You know, I guess it would be to like one day meet a young girl and being like, I don't know, and she just feels like whatever she experienced or was exposed to via diverse tunes or whatever inspired her to explore this as a career opportunity, and for her to really go far. Like it maybe sounds a little vain, but it would be amazing if someone got an award and was
Mm.
like, "I would like to thank Diverse Tunes." When I was in seventh grade or 10th grade or in college, I
Now I
saw
feel
this
you there.
talk, and I'd be like, "Yes."
But it's such a satisfying thing when you do hear how your content has made an impact on, you know, somebody in some way. And I guess that's all we could hope for, in doing diverse tunes. And, what I do here at the Color of Motion is that, what we do resonates and helps somebody in some kind of way, for
Yeah,
sure.
and that's the good thing about like having these digital talks and interviews and programs and stuff like that. Even though with Diverse Tunes we're working on getting back in person stuff, is like hopefully this stuff is able to just keep going, that someone 6 months from now, a year from now would discover a video and then could be inspired. So that's a bit of reasoning between why I do a lot of what I do, that it would continue to live on and take on like a life
Yeah.
of its own.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, like we said, you are a production supervisor. Can you kind of just break down for people that may not know what a production? And you know, I'm not allowed to lie. I don't really know exactly
So I am
everything.
manifesting that title. I was encouraged to put production supervisor on my LinkedIn. I'm
Okay,
not there yet. I'm
okay,
trying to be very soon. So I am actually a production coordinator. My
okay.
experience has been production coordinator for animated feature films. So it is just like one step up of production assistant type of work. So there's like running, if you will, meetings, taking notes for meetings, scheduling meetings. With a coordinator, you are dealing more with the schedule with your like production manager or production supervisor, in terms of like, artist, or well, you have a movie to make. And
Yeah,
the movie either has X amount of characters, X amount of locations, sometimes props, whatever. And you need to say, well, all this stuff needs to get made by this period of time. So, well, that's I was in pre-production, so that was our thing, so that they could move on to be animated and all that sort of stuff. So, if you have 3 months to make, I don't know, 15 characters, how are we scheduling that out, and how are we seeing to that everybody stays on top of it,
yeah,
and letting upper management know, like, hey, this person seems to be sliding. They're not going to be ready by the delivery date,
yeah,
and letting them know so that is this going to impact our budget? Do we then put some character that was maybe going to be speaking in the back so we can afford to spend less time on creating and designing them? What's some of the work that I've done too is a lot of studios right now in America are doing more of like almost like a hybrid production,
mm,
where the American studios are seeing about character design, location design, if you will, storyboards, and then a partner studio, most times in another country, are actually making the film. So, as a coordinator, I've helped be that bridge of sending assets, packages, virtual packages,
yeah,
and communicating with partner studios and also receiving stuff and, fostering that type of relationship. Being in pre-production, which I personally really like, is I'm working closely with the directors and
mm,
producers, and if there's a writer, being able to sit in on those.
yeah,
So I feel like I'm like a sponge and absorbing and being like, this is what I really like and admire about the way this production or leadership is running, and this is how I would want to run productions when I get to that point. um, oh, something fell. Not it's all good. But I think I tried to put that in a nice little box, but that's majority of what It is. And I would say fostering relationships with artists too. If anyone ends up going into production management, it's really important to build connections with the artist because you want to create a safe environment so that they could be honest and truthful with you if they
Yeah.
need more time with the lead or the director to get clarity. If they're sliding, if they need a mental health break, if you don't really have a good relationship with the artist, then they may not feel comfortable to bring that information to you.
Yeah.
And, it could cause hiccups with production. So,
Yeah, yeah, and that's and that's the thing. There are so many. I mean, you can tell by the end credits. There are so many moving parts to a movie, an animation that is just mind-boggling for sure. Now, is that, and we kind of touched on it a little earlier. Just in your space, production and production management, are you not seeing like more people of color in that space? Is it primarily white? And
no, production management, I think at the moment, my experience has a ceiling. So, like, it's again at the pyramid at
yeah,
the bottom. It's nice and multi
yeah,
diverse and sprinkled faces and stuff like that. But as you start to move up, it's not really so. And I think there's conversations to be had about like retention and upward mobility and what's happening. How come we're able to get a lot of diversity or a good amount of diversity for entry level positions and early career positions, but these people are not staying in the industry to move up,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
going on?
yeah. Oh, and I'm curious too because what your thoughts are as far as like you were saying, um, you know, people kind of at that, bottom level of the pyramid being comfortable with, saying what's going on with them and this and that. Do you feel like studios are, especially like animation and visual effects studios, are kind of overworking? Really, and I only say this because I saw an article on Marvel how they really work the people that are doing stuff for them. Do you feel like that's an issue too? That we as consumers are wanting or the companies think we want so much visual effects and so much animation that they're really working the artists harder than they probably maybe should, or as far as workload, as far as just expectations and that.
I I wonder if it's just really a lack of respect, honestly, for the medium, and the craft. We have these budgets for these movies,
Yeah,
and either they need to staff up more people so people aren't spread so thin with their workloads, or maybe not have these type of celebrities do the voice casting so we can spread the budget around.
yeah,
I think there's a little bit of just like this is kid stuff, and this is just superhero stuff. Like it's not really taken seriously and given that level of respect as maybe other types of movies and productions would be.
yeah,
So it gets exploitive
yeah.
very,
Exploited. Yeah,
yeah,
exploitative.
whatever that
Yeah,
word is. Very quickly, very
exploitative.
easily.
Yeah,
And that's just truly unfortunate because yeah, people burn out and then they shift. They take their skill sets and go to other industries where they can have better mental health.
yeah, yeah. Well, what are the type of, like I said, animation? You love animation. You love cartoons. What are the types of projects that you would love to work on, or feel like that would be, man, this would be really a good fun project to work on, or the type of
Yeah.
animation that you like?
I'll start with saying this guy, where is it? Over here. I
Oh,
would love
Spider Man.
I would love to. I mean, we could kind of this way,
Yeah, so you can see.
you know.
Oh yeah, and as you can see behind me, Spider Man.
I love not only Spider-Man but Miles Morales just for like
Yeah,
identity reasons.
yeah,
I grew up being obsessed with Sailor Moon. I do not have a Sailor Moon tattoo yet, but I'm thinking about it. So I basically love like magic magic girls,
Yeah.
I love just also obnoxious things in a certain extent. My friend reminded me, well, Natasha actually, who was in the comments, about Chowder.
Mm.
So I would love to work on things that's just kind of like vibrant and bright and super whimsical and crazy. And, I feel like I am also represented in it. Like Miles Morales, I feel like was great, even though he was from Brooklyn, but like, he's Afro Latin.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So now I would like to see my other identity represented, which is West Indian
Mm.
culture.
Yeah.
So I would love to, end up, what if I work on something where it's like a magical West Indian girl, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
from Queens is like, I don't know, traveling universes, I don't know, fighting food
I
monsters.
don't think it will be that long either, because like I said, I think, like we kind of talked about a little earlier, I think the creator, especially the independent creator, is now realizing the power of what they've got in their hands as far as controlling their own stories and identities and putting them out there. Like I said, you got a lot of, like I said, African. I've had a lot of African guests on the show and made a lot of friends that are starting to create their own, stories, heroes. I think companies like they're starting to revamp Milestone, the characters from Milestone, and Dwayne McDuffie, and really getting them out there. I think you're starting to see it won't be long, and I think it's going to come from kind of the independent creator.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
studios, like you said, it takes a while for them to really kind of, grab on, and they'll latch on here and there. But I feel like it's going to be the independent creator that controls and creates their own characters and ideas and puts it out there. It's really going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think the most one of the most challenging parts that we're going to face as independent creators is finances.
Yeah.
How
And distribution, I guess. I mean, to a wider.
don't you don't have to worry about distribution. I think you don't have to. If you can get it to pick up traction in social media one way or another,
Mm,
like don't even worry about that. But funding, like how are we going to get money to do these things, because it is time consuming or it takes a while. It is expensive if you are trying to bring on people. So like how do we get funding when it seems like funding comes easier to people that's not like us,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So do we have to work multiple jobs or crowdfunding, investors, loans, all sorts
Yeah.
of things?
Well, do you also think that, not that it's a responsibility, but it would be something really good and helpful with people, that have the money, like Tyler Perry, like Oprah, that are in these positions to really, you know, put behind, uh, characters, creators, and things like that? Do you think it's going to take more of people that are affluent, that we have, that are in the industry, that are really putting behind different things?
To a certain extent, I imagine the trouble with that being that these people may not actually get it in terms of
Mm,
like get animation. So they have the money and they're going to want to see a return on the investment, and they might understand that these particular properties, stuff maybe like Hair Love and Miles Morales Spider-Man, makes sense investing. So anything that may be outside of that, though they may have like black characters or non-white characters, it may seem too risky financially. So what I would think would be a better idea for people of that status was to try and help create accelerator programs and maybe put experienced black people like myself and
yeah,
people upper above me in places to help foster and nurture independent creatives, because if we can have the money to actually run some sort of accelerator program with our production experience and their talent, I think something really amazing can happen from
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I mean, are you encouraged with studios like Lion Forge and others that, like I said, are black owned, that are really starting to, okay, they get it, and They're trying to
Yeah,
do.
I'm definitely looking forward to what's to come from studios like that. I think that what they're setting out to do is something to definitely watch and be amazed by.
Awesome, for sure. Agreed. Funding. This must be Jade. Funding is the major challenge facing indie creators. If you're looking for anime based on West Indian culture, check out TT Jumbi. Yes, Western culture and yeah, West Indian culture. Yes, and I think, like I said, there's, I've seen, some pretty awesome. I was just watching the other day, and I think I'm gonna try and reach out to him, uh, Jamaican animator that's creating animation with Jamaican characters story. So I think, like I said, you got a lot of creators now that with the advent of the internet, of software like Blender, Krita,
Mhm.
free software, low cost software, that they're able to put out and finally realize, okay, I can really sit down and put out a whole animation story if I want to take the time to do it and really put it out there and get it out there. Game developers, I'm still trying to get him on for sure, but he has a black video game that he's been working on and putting out himself. So I think, like I said, you're starting to get those creators that are starting to realize the power of that's actually in their hands to get their idea out there,
Yep.
for sure. Where are you hoping, or where do you kind of see, um, as it is from that right now, the industry moving in a few years? I mean, is that kind of what you're seeing? You're going to see a lot more people of color, kind of starting to take issue with their own. Is,
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I feel like there's so many layers to it. I'm like there's like the industry, and then maybe like the industry.
well, okay. Well, let's start with the top industry, and then we'll narrow it down to the industry.
Okay, so I feel like I'm honestly not even sure because again of just all the scrapping of projects to a certain extent, and because of how much we're seeing um already established and known IPs get another makeover. Like I am
Yeah.
like, please let these things rest in the 90s and the early 2000s. Give them a break. Give them a break. Even though I wanted to see the Scoob because I love the pup named Scooby Doo, so I wanted to see that movie. But I'm just like, let's give things a break. But I understand, not that I completely agree with it, that these are like safe bets. Like we're again, like how Ninja Turtles, I love Ninja Turtles so much. I
Yeah.
have you can't see them. I have Ninja Turtle Funko Pops. But I feel like within the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years, we've gotten so many iterations of the Ninja Turtles that I'm just like, slow it down. Like, give us
Yeah.
some breathing room.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it because I'm consuming it all. I'm part of the problem in that respect. But I think we're just seeing just so much of things, and we're not really giving those IPs a chance to really
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's not stopping because they're doing animated versions of stuff. And,
Yeah.
this maybe they will get to go into production, but that's just like my little inside scoop is like there's a bunch of stuff still coming. It's not slowing down.
No.
So I really want to hope that we still that a lot of the people that the studios tapped on back in 2020, those diverse creators, that their projects really do get to make it to the end and we get to see them in the coming years, because I mean they should be starting to come out
Yeah.
2023, 24, 25.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of reboots, re-imaging
Yeah.
stuff on the
Yeah.
horizon. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing too. You get tired of and like you said, you understand it's a safe, or they feel like it's a safe thing, but I think there's way too much rehashing and revamping, or maybe they'll take something and put a different spin on it, try and make it, okay, politically correct, for lack of a better word. Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's make a black superhero, or let's make a black Superman. No, you got enough black superheroes out there that are already created if you put the, time and energy into it.
Yeah.
Or, let's make Wonder Woman black. Just try something just to, do it, as opposed to reaching out to this already vast, sea of characters and creators that are creating original content that if you put the, resources behind it, you may be surprised.
And there's no real reason to make a black version if we stay in superheroes of of those things, because like you can just go back still in those comic banks and find their own black characters, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like Marvel and DC have their own black superheroes. We don't need a black version of
yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff, you
But
know?
they need to be, which is why I love Black Panther, because uh, the director.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler was true and really, focused on the story and the character of what he wanted it to be. And I think, like you said, there's a wealth of them out there. You got Blade, Falcon. You got so many out there that are there that if you just really were true to digging in behind the story, and really Luke Cage. I loved Luke Cage growing up. But you see these kind of watered down versions of live shows, or what, that just don't really do it. Like you
Now
said,
I
they,
want to jump into the industry on the smaller scale.
yeah,
I feel like with, and y'all that are independent creators out there, take this as a gem or something, but I believe we're going to see a lot of like more subscription stuff, so the way that right now with streaming, we're subscribing to the streaming network.
mm-hmm,
You can think of the way that you have your coffee, buy me a coffee thing,
yeah,
Patreon,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
other stuff like that. We're going to be subscribing to the creators themselves,
yeah,
and hopefully getting inside scoops or early access to their content.
yeah,
And I think that as indie creators, you're going to want to start thinking how you can leverage that type of stuff,
yeah,
because I don't need to subscribe to a Netflix per se, or HBO Max or whatever, Hulu, if I just want to see this one thing. I
yeah,
want to just subscribe to them directly and
yeah.
get what I want to get.
Yeah, and like you said, much more personal content, whether it's behind the scenes or storyboards or whatever it may be. And I think, like I said, as we move forward, and as like I said, technology just keeps expanding, and the software just becoming more available. I think more, like I said, independent creators are going to start latching onto that. Hey, we can go directly to the people. We don't necessarily, like I said, have to go to Disney, or go to Warner or whatever. We can just put our content out there. If you're a filmmaker, there's YouTube. I can just shoot my film, put it out there. But do you think that's where creators kind of get hung up on, feeling like that's where they need to go, or that's where their end goal is to get to working at Disney, or working at studio or Warner or something like that, as opposed to the thought of, hey, I could just make my own stories, put them out there, and build my following, that way.
I think it's some of everything. I completely empathize and agree, and support people wanting to see their name at the end of a TV show, on a
Yeah,
screen, want to see their name in a theater screen. Like, I get that. I wanted to be able to say like you got to see behind the curtain of some of these big studios. Um, from experience and just from some of my peers, that just wears off after a certain time. So if that's what you want, you should absolutely go for it. But I would want at the end of the day ownership over whatever it is.
yeah,
So even though you may take it to those companies or work on their stuff, do you want to have something that is like your own?
yeah.
So I would want people to keep that with them as they go forward in all their pursuits.
Yes, Sim. Yes, please give me a chance to miss some shows or movies before another one is out. Uh, And I think, um, sites like Patreon, sites like that allow, creators to give early access or bonus gifts and things to uh, to people are helpful to the
Yeah.
independent creator for sure. And allows them to get their stuff out there. And again, everybody that's just jumping into the end, we've been having an amazing conversation with my friend Monique here with Simply Robotics. Where did that come from, Simply Robotics?
Okay, so back in college, I was very obsessed with Janelle Monáe when she was starting out, and she was essentially almost like an indie artist. And her
Yeah,
thing was all about androids. I guess, not I guess, she's gotten pretty far away from that. So it was really just me dialing into, I don't know, like typical art school, maybe like college thinking of like we're all androids in a simulation, like, at our core, like, that's basically what it
we're all
is.
gonna wake up in the Matrix one day.
I don't
Okay.
know. I play Sims, so maybe that we're in someone's sim game.
That's a scary thought there, for sure. Um, what would you? Okay, before this, what's been the biggest lesson that you've learned as a creative to this point?
Ooh, biggest lesson, man. Well, if you don't make time for it, it's not gonna happen. Maybe
That's
I know
true.
that's so simple, but like in my intro that you were reading, I've been working on this short passion project for like years, and I haven't really made the kind of dent in it that I would have wanted to by now.
Yeah,
And it's really like, life happens, we prioritize different things, and it's like, again, if I don't make time for it, it's not going to happen. And I originally had a goal, like, by the time, like, 3 years after college, I wanted to have a short film and enter it in film festivals and do that whole thing. And then that became by 30, and now 30 has come and gone, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, I have a new age milestone, if you will, and I'm like, this has to get done. But a lot of like what we're talking about, I'm thinking like, should I really focus on making the whole thing by this time, or should I try to get like a part of it that's good out, and put it on YouTube or Patreon or something, and just try to get some funding to bring on people to help me keep making the whole thing. Like,
yeah,
should it be a film? Should it be like, maybe it becomes, piece of it could be a film and piece of it's like, whatever to do with it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't have character designs done. I don't have location or set designs done.
yeah.
You know, um,
And is it
prop.
also a matter of, like you said, not, you? It's easy to get overwhelmed, feeling like I got to do it all myself, as opposed to tapping. You're in the industry, you know, if it's animation, Dre, and that's my thinking. As far as,
Yeah,
like I said, just with the color of motion, I made so many friends that when I do have an idea, I do have the ability to be able to tap into other people such as yourself as a production, because I don't know production. I'm not I may have an idea, but and I'm not, say, a modeler, or I may do a little bit of it, but as far as in the production sense of it, of putting a thing together, tapping into this community of people that we have.
yeah. So I am also really grateful that I have people that want to help me and
Yeah,
support me. I just don't have the stuff for them yet. So I'm not even feeling like I need to do this all myself. I've also just never been that person. I love getting help and like being, take things off my plate, please. But I was talking with a coworker that was willing to come on and just do some work, but I don't even have the preliminary stuff to give to her to hand
yeah,
over.
yeah,
So, that's my own personal goal, is for like the end of this year to really get that in order, so that, next year I can be able to commission people to do some sort of stuff for me towards it.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, it is uh, all. It really does all boil down to, okay, if this is something I want to do, I'm gonna have to set the time aside to do it. You know,
And
and
that's my
really.
thing. Like I can make a schedule, but if you're sticking to it, I can stick to other people's schedules, but apparently, as far as that, other things just seemed more important. So,
Trust me,
I,
I feel you. Doing your own stuff is always seems a lot harder than it is helping do other people's stuff as well. Um,
yeah.
what what's would you what advice would you give to a young black woman or young woman of color that wants to do what you do? What would be the best piece of advice that you would give them?
Um, the one piece of advice that I would give specifically Black women would be to just do it. To a certain extent, maybe I have like this sense of like I can do anything I want, and that's because I do everything that I want. And even if it doesn't look the way I wanted it to be, or the results aren't what I wanted, like, and I maybe have hurdles and things to overcome, like I always do what I want to do. And a lot of times we can think of like imposter syndrome. We could think of how we're being perceived by people. We can think like, yeah, people are going to think this about me or assume this, or I'm not as good as these other people, or psych ourselves out.
Yeah,
And it's just to like do it anyway,
yeah,
even if it's ugly, even if it falls apart, even if you have like a meltdown or whatever, like just do the thing. Also, do it and like finish it, but like sometimes just put it out there, and
yeah,
you could take it back,
yeah,
but like actually see it through. What I could say to like women of color on the broader sense is to have some of the um I'm thinking like delusion, but like just that relentless confidence that men have,
yeah,
men actually have the audacity, and women, we need more of it.
yeah,
We need to take their abundance of audacity and put it into our work and like our lives and doing the things that we want to do while we have the energy or the time, the mobility, the brain to
yeah,
do so.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I definitely agree. On that one, I have to drop a bomb that I always do the bomb on bomb drops like that because it's so funny. Because I just had this conversation with a guy friend of mine, talking about he was talking about the things that he wanted to do and that he was planning on doing. And my thing that I told him is just do it, just
Just do it.
because you may not know what you're doing, or you may not have an idea what it's going to look like, but you're always going to be iterating, and you're always going to get better the more you do it. But you're not going to get better at it unless you just jump in and do it, because we could come up with 1,001 excuses of why not to start something. Oh, I need to get this camera, I need to get this mic, I need to get this software or this and that,
Yeah.
and just not put it out there. And that's what I told him. When I started this show, I had no idea what I was, how this show was going to go. And I could have came up, and I probably started to, if it wasn't for some good friends that just said, hey, just put it out there,
Yeah.
and I got better at live streaming. I got better with my equipment. I got better learning the things that I did. And I wouldn't have done that had I not just taken a step to do it. So I think a lot of people, they use that as a crutch and an excuse for not, going after their dream because of, oh, how am I going to look? Is it going to fail? Is it going to succeed? That type of thing. As opposed to, you're never going to know.
And also, it's okay to start off like simple.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. I had my friend was like, I don't know, listening to a very, very early podcast episode of me where I had like a different mic setup. This was before I implemented videos or whatever. And she was like, you sound like a baby. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I was I had another podcast with a co-host, and now this one is like all about animation, and I'm by
Yeah.
myself. So like, how do I sound as engaging as if someone else is there with me? And then if you look at when I first started, trying to do video podcast or add video elements from my podcast, like to now, I've been elevating the quality, but that's over the last like two
Oh
and a half
yeah.
years. I didn't start out with all this stuff. It's over time. You're like, okay, well, I can step this part up, I can step that. But people want
Gotcha.
to start off like
Yeah.
super,
Yeah.
high production quality out the gate. It's okay. Also, it's okay for people to see you grow.
Yeah, yeah. I think people wanted, and I tell people, if you go back to the very first episode of this, totally, totally different night and day. You can see the progression of how, okay, the show got better, the video quality better, my mic got better, the lights got better. Everything gets better as you
Yes.
learn more and just get more comfortable doing it for sure. And like you said, I think it resonates more with people as they see you go through see where you started to where you
Yes.
are at now and how better you become doing it. So I definitely agree with you on that. Um, I gotta say, this must be Jade. After the crazy year of 2020 and the pandemic, no, it's not Jade. My
No.
wife and I just, I'm not gonna assume. My wife and I decided to just do it and begin working on our projects because of how uncertain. Yeah, future's not promised to anybody. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So I tell my family this all the time. I would rather die trying to do what I enjoy doing than working for a lifetime on a job that I just didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And at least say I could try. Um, yes, that I need the audacity of an alpha male. Now, just you need the audacity that God placed in you, because everybody's got. It's not just a male thing. I know a lot of women that are strong and they're just bold enough. That's just their personality, and they've embraced that. So, just embrace, the audacity and the power that's within you. For sure. Natasha, the glow up. I'm not sure what that means, Natasha, but I think it's
Of
a
like probably just like growing in whatever you're doing.
the glow up. Yeah, yes, for sure. Sim. I love watching influencers grow. Nobody starts out as the success that they are. Everybody, that's what we see,
Right.
but everybody starts out at the bottom. Everybody starts out at this, raw, uncut stage. And it takes time to, get polished and get better at it. Yes, Natasha, the glow up. Sim. Yep, agrees with you. Yes, the passion fueled, great interview. Jade, I appreciate that for sure. And I hope, like I said, that's the whole purpose is that you get something of value, that you heed and listen. I definitely encourage everybody to rewatch, because Monique dropped a lot of nuggets and great information, that you sometimes don't pick up the first time. That's why I encourage you rewatching things, and you really will start to hear, the words that are in there. This has been, like I said, it goes by so quick. We're already
So
an hour.
big.
Yeah, so we're already an hour and a half in, and like I said, man, I am so looking forward. Um, Dre, if you're still watching, we are going to have a multi-panel with you guys. So I'm definitely going to reach out because that I know will be fire. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward, to that. But this has been, like I said, so much fun. And like I said, I appreciate, you, Monique. One, for connecting with me in the first place. I appreciate and uh, so appreciate all the friends that I get a chance to connect with and build a relationship with. It's for me that's what it's all about is building a relationship so that we can work together and
Yes.
help each other in the things that we're trying to do,
Yes.
for sure. What, and I'm going to leave it with you on this. what would be some parting words that you would like viewers to walk away with on this? You know, and
Oh,
I'm gonna make
wow.
sure I spotlight you.
Oh my
I
gosh, you
want
gotta
these.
say something prolific. um, what I would like to say is um to trust yourself. Trust yourself that you do know what's good for you. You trust your decision making, listen to yourself. It's very easy again with like outside sources or just imposter syndrome or comparison yourself or comparing yourself to other people, but like bet on yourself, take chances on yourself. On It doesn't even need to be a dream or a passion, just things that's interested of interest to you that you want to explore. Just like know that you're doing things for your greatest good and trust and believe in that and move forward with that energy. I think that's what I want to say.
Awesome. And those are amazing words to end on for sure. Like I said, this has been so much fun. It goes by way too fast for me.
So fast.
But the beauty of it is I get to have them back on at any time, that they're available for sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to having you back on with Jade, with Dre, with Deborah. Like I said, I think I'm going to reach out to you guys next week and see if we can get a date. Because I definitely want to have all of y'all on at the same time.
We're about to
Um,
have a good time.
that's gonna be a good one for sure. Alana was here, beautiful. I appreciate you, Alana. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode and has had as much fun as I've had and learned as much as I have, for sure. Definitely make sure that you connect with Monique on some of her social platforms here. You can find her. Let me make sure I pull this up. Definitely can find her on Twitter, everywhere at Simply Robotix. You can
Super
find her
easy.
super easy. I wish all of mine were that easy. But Simply I jumped into the game really late. So
I see. I see.
Instagram, Simply Robotics. Check out their website, simplyrobotics.com. Connect with her on LinkedIn. That's where I connected with her at. I connect
Yes,
with
yes.
everybody on LinkedIn. Check out her podcast, Simply Robotics. Like I said, got so looking forward to, like I said, your personal projects coming out, and really getting you back on the show to really promote that as well. It's been an amazing episode for sure. I'm gonna jump back over to this scene, and definitely all this stuff, all the information is going to be on the show notes on YouTube. So make sure that you hop on over there, rewatch the show. Make sure you comment. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it, for sure. But you'll get all the information over there as well. Um, Again, Monique, I can't thank you enough for being a part of the Color of Motion family. Also being on the show and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with the viewers for sure.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to my squad that's in the comments. I know people live streaming it. I sent it to my whole family. I had my mom send it to the family again.
Way to represent. Hey, that's what it's all about. I love it
Yes.
when a guest tribe come and just support and really share her episode. Share all the episodes. There's some great nuggets.
There
Uh,
is.
in all the episodes. I'm gonna toot my own horn. I've had some great guests and friends on that have really brought some value. Not only Monique, Jade, Deborah, Dre, all of them have been on the show and just love them to death. And so looking forward to having them back on for sure. Yes, definitely gems that were dropped. So you definitely need to recheck out the show
I
for
just also
sure.
wanted to shout out two people you've had on the show too,
Yep.
whose episodes are worth watching. That's Jaren Merchant,
Yep.
and Liza. I
Yep.
don't remember her last name, but
Barrels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, they're great too. So,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think that's about like 5, 6
Yep.
people, and then of course watch the other videos. But those are my homies. So,
I think Liza was my first woman. Yes, yes, she was the
oh,
first
okay.
woman that I had on the show, for sure. Season one, amazing woman for sure. Yes, definitely had some great guests and friends. I don't like to say guests. I like to say friends. I've definitely had some great friends on the show. For sure. So not only check out Monique's, not only check out Jay Aaron, Deborah's, all of them. Check them out, share them, comment, because it only helps the channel, helps me to continue to level up the show, support Simply Robotics and Diverse Tunes because
Yes.
they're helping to get the word out of diverse creators and content out there. So we definitely need to see more of us that is out there and giving them a platform to really shine as they do. Alison Guerrera, I have learned a lot. Hey, then, I feel like I've accomplished something there for sure. I definitely appreciate you joining the show. Um, Monique, if you can hang out in the green room for a minute while I
Sure.
close out the show, I would
Sure thing.
appreciate it so much. Everybody, please help me thank again my friend Monique Henry-Hudson for coming on the show and making it another great episode.
Thank you.
All right. Guys and gals, this was fun. I have so much fun doing these shows. And like I said, I know that you've enjoyed this one. I can tell by all the comments and love that you shared, Monique. Like I said, I love it when guest tribe comes and supports them and really, helps them become more comfortable in the show. I try to make it, comfortable for the guest and my friend, but it always helps when family and friends and their supporters come and really tunes in and shows out. So, like I said, I appreciate so much everybody that's been a part of the show. I hope that you've gotten something of value from it. I know I have. I always do. And I enjoy so much just doing this every week and having fun doing it for sure. Make sure, like I said, that you get connected with me. I definitely want to hear from you. I always like to hear from viewers, friends, and just let me know, what I may be doing wrong, what I could do better. But I just want to hear from you on all my channels. Like I said, you'll be able to find all my information and Deborah's or Monique's on the show notes on YouTube. You'll be able to check them out there. But please make sure that you get connected with her and reach out for sure. Like that, it's been fun for sure. Make sure that you tune in next week because we're going to keep it going for sure. I'm super excited about next week's guest and friend, Mr. Kelvin Shani, freelance illustrator and animator. He does some amazing work as well. So looking forward to having him on the show and making it another great episode. Wow. Hour 36. I said season 3 I was going to try and start cutting it back down to 45 minutes to an hour. It's so hard to do. It's so hard to keep shows around that time, especially when you're having great conversation and so much fun. But we'll see. So with that, I guess I have to call this one a wrap. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody checking out the replay as well. Again, make sure you go back, watch it, because Monique dropped a lot of gems for sure. And definitely don't want you to miss out. So with that, I'm going to call this one a wrap. Have a great rest of the week. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers.